They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views.
And everything else in between.
Welcome back to another episode of Daddy and Son. My name is Alex.
And I'm Norm.
Today is a Norm production.
Uh-oh.
What do you have for us today, Norm?
Well, the idea just came from a life event. I thought we'd call today Parked Cars Can't Steer. And the idea is...
Parked cars can't steer.
Yeah, can't steer. Steer, as in with a steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
In the words of Shakespeare, is this going to be a tragedy or a comedy?
I don't know if he ever said that. He just wrote them, right? How do you get out of a rut? That's really what this is about. How do you know when it's time to change something in your life and you can't figure out, do I need to do it now? How do I do it? Why do I feel the way I do? That's what we want to talk about today. And is there any difference between the way sons approach that and daddies approach that?
I'm excited.
Mm.
Well, before we get into that, how was your week?
The week was rather a bit dramatic on the personal front, but very good on the business front.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can share with us? Get us excited for you?
I have a good accountant. Let's put it that way.
Well, we love that.
Yes.
We love when the books are balanced.
Yes.
We love when they have extra zeros. We love that.
That's the non-drama part of the week, and that's all I'm going to talk about.
We love that. For me, you know what? I've had a pretty decent week.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking off Pride Month. Though I feel adamant that as the first week of June is coming to an end, for those of you listening, we record this podcast on Fridays, even though we put them out on Thursdays. With that being said, I've had, some really great times and a few low times.
Well, that's kind of a typical week, isn't it?
Well, usually in my world, I usually have better control of the low times.
Control of the low times?
Yeah,
that's not a very good type of control to have, is it?
Well, I like to block all negativity.
Oh.
And
you weren't able to block a very lot of it this past week.
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But it was just a reminder to me that pride is not just about having fun and putting on my pink booty shorts. It's about protesting because, while we are still in a space of getting basic rights, acceptance and equality is something that we're still fighting for.
And probably will continue to until human beings leave this earth.
Until the end of time.
Yeah. This is a long-term fight. But I think compared to where it was 40 years ago, my goodness, it's night and day. You don't have any idea how hard it was 40 years ago. But funny enough, that would be a good topic to talk about as we get closer to Pride, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
We can do that in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes, that'll be your production because I think you're more passionate about this.
I
okay.
am.
Yeah.
So what's your, how do you want to kick us off?
Well, I just want to I just want to talk about, I guess, my own experience. Well, literally, I was driving down the road the other day and saw this sign on the road. Parked cars can't steer. And I thought, there's a truth in that. And the truth is that when you're at a certain position in life that you think you might want to change, one of the ways to start changing it is to do something. And a lot of people have inertia. Why is it? Why do we not want to move forward sometimes when we're in a jam? I'm wondering. And the older folks, I think sometimes older folks have a little more difficulty with dealing with change than the younger generation. Because really it's about switching gears, reinventing, and figuring out, do I need a new job? Do I need an education? Do I need a new partner? Or, like how do we deal with change in this world? That's kind of where I'm coming from on this one. What do you think?
Mm.
Are we too up in the air? Do we need to bring it down to the 300-foot level instead of 10,000 feet?
Well, which one do you want to start with?
Hmm. Well, how do you go about setting priorities when you know something's got to change in your life? Why is it hard? Or what is it that we've got to do to start the process off? And is it harder for younger folks or older folks to do that, or is it about the same?
All right. So, my opinion, I think that it is actually harder for older folks.
I
And
think
not because they say it's harder to teach an old dog new tricks. I just think that when you're at a particular stage in life, there's a certain level of comfort that you need. There's a certain level of consistency and simplicity that is necessary for a day-to-day life,
which you enjoy.
which you do enjoy,
Yeah.
or not. When I say you, I'm not talking about you specifically, but
But I do. I know what you mean. I confess.
but I think younger people, um, there's always this you gotta pay your dues mentality, and a part of that is being flexible,
Yes.
being able to be quick on your feet,
You've had to be.
and
Look at the change that's taken place in the last 20 years.
exactly.
It's crazy. But I think dads and sons are going to have to learn the same skills and do the same things today to be successful.
And reinventing yourself, right? Like I going from chemistry to IT, and now I'm thinking about going back to school. Well, I'm debating with myself whether I want to go back to school to go study law. It's like
That's a huge decision.
it's a huge decision because, well, I don't know why you think it's a huge decision, but
I think it's a momentous, it's huge decision. First of all, just to go back to school, you're what, almost 30, 28 years old, 30 years old now?
yeah.
That's to be in school at that age full time, because that's what you got to do in law school to study for. That's a 4-year thing.
Yeah.
That's that would be a big reinvention, hun.
Well, part of me is like, I'm literally on the last leg of finish paying off my student loan for my master's. I have 1 year left to pay off my student loan.
May I suggest that buying a house might be cheaper than a law degree?
It's literally the same price.
Oh my God, you've done the numbers probably too.
I have.
Oh.
It's literally the same cost of a down payment for a house.
I was just throwing that line out, but
is how much it would cost me to go back to school.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so these are things that I'm faced with when I have to think about, do I just sit where I am? Or do I take a chance and reinvent myself? I think older folks don't necessarily have the same, they don't battle with the same level of demons on this one. They don't have to worry about, especially when you're closer to retirement or you're retired, you're not worried about like career or where
No,
your life's
that's
going to
true.
take you. And even if you're looking for something else to do to fulfill you, I believe that there is a lot more ease in which to do so. There's a lot more room.
True. Well, if you mean by room, you mean there'd be more options.
More, yes.
Yes, because they've done a lot of stuff. They don't need quite as much. Well, I don't know whether to offer you career advice at this point on a public broadcast, but I would, you're in a field that is very highly specialized. This is dad-son counseling. Cybersecurity, there's more need for folks with that kind of expertise than with legal expertise. You can hire a lawyer with a phone call. Getting a cybersecurity person, that is not easy. So this is how, by the way, folks, this is how Alex and I interact. Sometimes we talk about this stuff offline, and it's quite, but you know what? It's a legitimate process to go through when you are considering a career move, a life change, which is really what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to hear what you decide, and I'm here as your dad or as a dad, qualify that, to offer any assistance I can. But I think you're right. I think dads would have a more difficult challenge. And let me give you, from my point of view, I mean, be honest, I just turned 70 last year.
Hmm.
One of my good friends at that event said, I'm surprised. What has
And your
impressed me
birthday
about
is coming up
it is,
soon.
yes. But this friend of mine who's older than I am said that Norm has always been able to reinvent himself. And I'd never thought of that before. I'd never thought it. But you know what? I'm at the point right now where I got to do that now.
Yeah.
I don't have the same job I had a year ago. Um,
You're not in the same relationships,
no.
professionally or romantically, that you were in before, even 5 years ago.
Well, the relationship part has never been too robust anyway. Anyway, let's just say that I'm in the process now of saying, how do I move forward?
Yeah.
And I got to learn some things that maybe come a little more naturally to younger folks,
Yeah.
like ChatGPT. Let's learn about AI. Let's learn about how do you market yourself in an age of social media. You know, what do you do to get your ass off the couch and move forward? That's the challenge I think a lot of people have, whether you're older or younger. But I know personally I'm dealing with that right now.
Yeah. You know what? I also think that it is a lot easier for younger people as I mentioned, you being in relationship in the type of not in the same relationship, but professionally or
Socially.
romantically or
Yeah.
socially.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the fact that I was with someone for 8 years that I was with since I was 19. Since I was a teenager, 18 and a half going on 19. And when that relationship ended, I had to reinvent myself in a way of sorts. Reinvent myself to figure out what do I want? What
Yeah.
do I like?
What do you value?
What do I value?
Yeah. It's really a self-search, isn't it?
It's a self-search. What does Alex Solo, especially when this is someone I've been with since I was a kid, it's like what do since we were kids, it's like what does Alex Solo look like? How do I want to present myself? And
it takes a while to figure that out.
And it takes a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Look, I don't know if I've shared this with you before. I know I've told a couple of different friends this, whether I've ever said it here. There was a great book that I read back when I was your age by a psychologist by the name of Gail Sheehy, Sheehy, called Passages. Predictable Crisis in Adult Life. Crisis being plural. And she went through each decade and described the different decades, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, 50s, right on. And she kind of characterized them and summarized them. And she called the one for the 20s the turbulent 20s. And I was in my late 20s. Maybe I just turned 30
turbulent
at that point.
20s.
The turbulent 20s.
But the 20s is the best time.
But it's turbulent as hell. Because there's a lot of wrestling going on. What do I do? Where am I going to fit in? Do I need more education? Am I going to have a partner? When am I going to get married? When am I going to get the hell out of the house? All those kind of things that are going on.
That must be for women. I don't know if that applies to gay people.
Oh, it applies to anybody. It applies to anybody.
Because in my 20s, I was not thinking about those things. You know when I started thinking about those things? When I turned 30. That's why I'm having these conversations now. I'm just like, my birthday is coming up in November. And, as I am, going into my early 30s, what do I want the rest of my life to look like? Now is the deciding time. If I'm going to reinvent myself, change my career, all these things for a more permanent fixture, No, the 30s is the time to do it, not when I'm in my 40s or 50s. I mean, I
True.
could, but
Well, doing a law degree would be better now than it would be 10 years from now. Yeah.
exactly when 10 years from now, when I'm 40 or 41, So I genuinely believe that, I don't know, just for me personally, when I was in my 20s, I was just running around, having a good time. I didn't care about nothing.
Hmm.
A paycheck to me was just something to, I don't know, go.
You had a bit of a ditz decade, I'd say.
It was
A
just.
ditz decade. Okay. Well, here's what I did in my 20s. I started off, I was in university.
Yeah.
I had a first job. Then I went back to school. I was all over the place. And then let's see, 1980, 27. Then I started a job I hated. And at that point I said, WTF am I going to do with my life? And it wasn't until I turned 30 that I started to, oh, settle down a bit, kind of get things together. I actually found a groove at that point. There wasn't a need to reinvent. I'd gone through 20s reinventing, trying to figure out what it is I want to invent.
Interesting. Wow.
So if you're in your 20s, sons, and you're experiencing some uncertainty about things, relax. It's natural. It's a process you got to go through. You'll make it. And
I'm
you've
going
made
through
it.
the uncertainty now,
You are,
ironically.
but you have already had a very successful, at least career type thing. You're in a specialized field. Not everybody's there, you know? And I didn't know at your age.
I think that was just luck, though.
Well,
I honestly believe. I remember we were talking a few weeks ago, and we were talking about I think we're talking about um entrepreneurship and younger people having more opportunities through their hobbies. For me, stumbling into this field was an opportunity that came out of my hobby of being a gamer.
okay.
Because if you're an online gamer,
Yes.
you get doxxed all the time. Your account get hacked all the time, and you have to know just the basics of how you can protect yourself.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And
That's
protect
cool.
your server. And that's how I got into cybersecurity. Those are transferable skills that I took from just being a gamer to the corporate world, right? I think
That's
that I
really
got
neat.
lucky, but to be honest, my 20s, when I get a paycheck, I was off to Banana Republic. I was off to Club Monaco. I was
Club Monaco.
Club Monaco.
By the way, I know
It's
that
not-
I know that name because I used to coach their hockey team a long time ago.
Really?
The owners of Club Monaco.
How butch?
Yeah.
I was off shopping. I didn't now if I get a paycheck, I'm just like, okay, what portion of this is for Miss Thing, which I'll not call her name because she'll get excited, because I have responsibilities. What portion of this is for rent, because now I live by myself. I didn't live by myself then.
In a very opulent apartment, I might add.
Or what portion is for investment, because I'm trying to put down a little bit so I can buy stocks or trade with. These are things that I never thought about until literally a year ago.
Until around 30.
So
Funny, right between 20s and 30s, eh?
So-
The turbulent 20s, I want to go to the store. The 30s, I got to think about the future. That's the difference
I see.
between 20s and 30s. And that was you getting out of, I wouldn't say a rut, but you were reinventing yourself.
Oh, definitely I was reinventing
Yes,
myself.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
If not career-wise, definitely socially. Socially, I was reinventing myself, trying to find my place in society. Who was the one that said, "Don't ask what they can do for you, ask what you can do for
Your country?
Yes, was it JFK?
That was President John Kennedy, yes.
Okay.
Talking about the moon.
Right.
Well, no, actually, you know what? It was it was in his
It
inaugural
was in his,
speech.
right.
Yes, in
I was like,
1960.
somebody said, I think it was JFK who said that, right.
Hmm.
With that being said,
And how does that relate here? Sorry.
oh,
You're thinking of a political career now? Sorry, just.
maybe,
Yes, that's true. Oh, law would help with that.
exactly.
Yes.
I've said that I don't want to be a practicing attorney, but having a law degree, I think, would help me use the skill set and the knowledge that I have now to be able to be a lawmaker around AI.
You know,
We literally have
true.
zero laws in Canada right now
That's true.
for around the use of AI. And
It's funny you mentioned that. I was listening to a podcast, a New York Times podcast coming down here,
mhm,
where boy students at a high school in New Jersey, were doing deep fake nudes of their female classmates. And this mother decided to raise hell and, bring other parents together to say, what can we do about this? The schools aren't doing much. And there really isn't much law there.
yeah,
So
because
that's
technically it's not child pornography because it's not a real person.
exactly, yeah. So there's you're right about the legal, but you know what's interesting here, and we can come back to this after the break, is the discussion we're having is exactly what people need to go through in order to get that car out of the parking lot and moving forward.
Hmm. More after the break. And we're back. I have a question for you, Norm. So if parked cars can't steer, how do you get the cars off the curb and back onto the road?
You mean literally or sort of figuratively?
Well, in a fast-paced, moving environment, right? Where literally you see this time in almost every industry. In Hollywood, it was there to talk about, the older person. They push them to the side. They become obsolete. In everyday life right now, AI, the use of AI is taking over so many things and jobs and position or even odd jobs.
Not worried about it.
No?
Not worried about it. But to get back to your question, well, first of all, the driver of the car, which is you in this case, or me, the person who wants to go somewhere,
Uh-huh.
got to decide where you're going to go. In other words, what's important to you? What's the next step? Where do you want to take your life in the next 3, 6, 12 months? Until you're really clear about that, and it takes a while to sort that out. Look at the discussion we just had 10 minutes ago about whether you want to do law degree next. That's a big investment. You got to go through this process. I'll use a big word, iterative. In other words, thinking over different solutions and options. What the hell do I want to do? Once you've got that in your gut, it becomes easier to move forward because you get energized by it. And it's the need to get that energy inside that gets you moving. That's what a car needs gas. Where does it come from? The tank. The tank for a person is that feel in the gut, in the heart. I want to do this next. I got to put some resource and some time and energy into it.
What do you want to do next?
I do not know exactly.
What is your drive?
Well, I like
to
writing.
keep up with the car puns and metaphors.
I like writing.
Mm.
I like talking to people. I like dealing with government and issues and stuff. The stuff I've always done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to keep doing some of it, but not full time. I don't want to work all the time now. I'm in a very blessed, fortunate position. I don't have to work full time anymore. It's lovely. It's lovely. But I don't want to sit on my butt either. So I'm kind of in this nary world here of which way do I go? Where do I really want to go? And I think it's probably about time that Norm, you figured that out. Would you say so? Yes. Well, I can tell by the way you're looking at me, you're totally agreeing with me, which is not always a comfortable feeling when you know you need to do something that you don't want to do.
What that looks like, I think we have two very separate visions.
For you and me, your own version? Or
no, for you.
Oh.
For you. My vision for you is something entirely different.
Oh, I want to hear this. And by the way, that's part of the research, is you've got to talk to your people in your circle to ask those questions. What do you see me doing?
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, I see you doing your own thing. I see you starting your own association. I see you, even if you're not getting, even if it's not operating at the level of which you have ED'd other organizations in the past. I do see you, at least as a part of your legacy, getting something from the grassroots level.
I think what you're driving at is I need to find a cause to organize people around.
And I think you have enough people in your Rolodex
Oh, I've got a ton of them. I've been on LinkedIn all week. I'm talking to tons of people.
that you can make that happen. Or even if you're doing it yourself, you have enough people in your Rolodex that you can influence change.
You know what? What hits me right now is I want to help people. That's the part inside me that's saying, Norm, you got to figure out a way to help people. Whatever the message is that's inside you, listen to it. It's the driver of that car that's in the car that's parked on the curb. What are they thinking? I got to go here. They got to know where they're going.
Yeah.
I'm still getting that message. The GPS in my car hasn't quite clicked in yet. It doesn't have a direction. Here we are. Waze is trying to sort out what the traffic is. And the news is it's going to take a while to get there. Like the Gardner Expressway in Toronto, it's forever.
Please make a U-turn right here.
Yes, we're U-turn. Stay parked in the car.
So, I also am curious, and maybe this is the last bit for me, but what do you think is the greatest benefit to just at whatever stage, the benefit for my stage or the benefit, actually, you tell me what you believe the benefit of my stage, reinventing myself at this level is. Of course, there's drawbacks. You've told me what you think those drawbacks are, but what are the benefits that you think? And I'll tell you what I think is it for you.
Well, I think the first question you have to answer. We're kind of doing this mutual counseling thing today, folks. It's kind of interesting. We could have done this offline, but we're doing it in real time. You got to decide whether you're happy doing what you're doing now or you really want some change. So it really is a search of inside yourself. Are you happy with where you're at? Do you see it, evolving and continuing to be a challenge?
Yeah.
And being satisfying and making you happy? If it's not, then you've got to ask the question, I need to look at other options.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I want to do it. I want to position myself to do things that make me happy, whether it's Zumba or what we're doing right now, this podcast.
Yeah, this is great. I didn't see us doing this a year and a half ago.
So many people ask me, hey, on Friday evening, no, can't do nothing on Friday. Why? I'm busy doing hot girl shit. I'm here. I have work. I'm like, I have work. They're like, what work? It's after 5. I'm like, I have my podcast that I'm doing. And, I treat it as work, even though it technically isn't work. But I love doing this.
We enjoy this, folks. We do.
I love doing this so much.
And we're getting into the groove of it.
It brings me so much joy. And so for me, it's like, okay, this is something that I don't care. Like yeah. I'm putting myself into it, and I put my all into it, and I do it because I enjoy doing so.
And you do the bulk of the work offline too, folks. In terms of putting it together and getting it online, which
Same
is a
thing
huge
with
task.
Zumba. I will spend hours creating these routines and choreography and whatever that may bring or whatever comes out of that. I don't know. The future alone can say, but May
I suggest that, interrupt you, that if you choose to pursue a law degree, some of these lovely things you like to do on the side will have to take a vacation for a while. Let me tell you, I've seen law students. I've never been to law school. I knew law students. Those guys worked their asses off, and they didn't have a lot of social time. Unless it was a hockey game at 11 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Well, I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for myself.
Of course.
I consider myself a really good student.
Hmm.
I think I'm a really good student. I I worked 5 days a week at a bar every night from Wednesday to Sunday while I was a student in school. I and I
Hey, listen, if you think you can do
and I
law
still
and
graduated
Zumba,
summa cum laude. So
you're gifted. What can I say? Not everybody has that ability and that gift. But I'll tell you, a law degree, certainly in the first year, like I remember my business degree first year,
Mhm.
I remember being able to go out to McDonald's in late October. It was the first night I was able to get out of the house, and I thought, oh, this feels wonderful. I mean, it is, you are snowed under in work. Just letting you know, it's
Yeah.
great investment, it pays off, but those are the things you gotta determine what your priorities are.
Mm.
And then if you think it's right, go for it. Try it. You can always quit. If you don't like it, you go broke.
No, I never quit.
You never
I'd
quit.
rather finish it and then say, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
not for me."
Yeah, you'll be broke
But
when you're finished. So that's fine.
but I'd no, because either, especially if I'm gonna take a student loan, I'm still gonna have to pay it off anyway. So I might as well follow through.
Well, if you were in the United States, Mr. Biden would be giving you a freebie. But
It would be
anyway,
giving
that's
me
another-
forgiveness.
that's
Oh
another-
gosh, maybe
yes.
that's where I need to go study. But I need to be a U.S. citizen to get the perks. But anyhow, I digress.
Mhm.
But you know what I realize lately that I enjoy doing is policy work.
Hmm.
I
That's my stuff too.
I love um
Well,
researching, and I love telling people what to do.
well, that a law degree would certainly
So-
be very helpful to that.
I feel like a law degree would be helpful. And again, because I have knowledge in an area that we, at this time, who knows, maybe in 4 years, by the time I do have a law degree, we will have legislation around the use of technology, particularly AI and privacy. But at this time, as things exist, while we may have, example, PEPEDA laws, PEPEDA does not cover anything that has to do with the use of AI.
Sorry, PIPEDA, for those that aren't
Yeah.
familiar with it, is the privacy legislation, is it not?
Yes,
Yeah.
privacy, electronic, private.
PIPEDA,
Yeah,
privacy information, something or other. I forget what it's.
Personal Information Protection of Electronic Documents
Right,
Act.
right,
Yeah,
right.
and it does not have any addendums in it that covers the use of AI.
Hmm.
It doesn't. And this is a problem.
Yep, it is.
It is a huge problem for those who may be American listeners or EU listeners. This would be the PEPIDA is our version of like GDPR or the US version of HIPAA.
Okay.
So that's the equivalent to what it is.
Yeah.
And I think it would be something that I would enjoy doing.
And that is the key. Is it something you're gonna energize you?
Yeah.
Make you happy? Then that's the direction you need to go. And you or anybody else that's listening that's thinking of, I need to do something.
Yeah. I want to get up and go to
good.
work, and people are
Passion.
like,
I see passion here. That's
"Hey,
that's
Alex,
another
where
key.
you going?" I'm like, "Leave me alone. I'm going to work. Talk like hot girl, catch me a road, But that's the mode that I'm in. I still want money. I still want to live. I still want to have a fulfilling life. But why can I not be happy doing it?
Well, I think we want to be happy. That's the whole idea. When you're in a
I
rut,
don't know.
you're
I
not
feel
happy.
like some
Would you
people
agree?
I talk to, when you're in a rut, you're not happy.
That's right.
And I feel like misery likes company. I think it was Winston Churchill who said that, or maybe it was Shakespeare. I don't know. But there are some people who would talk to them about the same thing, and they may not share the same level of optimism that you have. They may say, well, this is what adulting looks like. You have to do things that you don't particularly like. They're not as optimistic about
Adulting.
reinventing them. So, adulting.
Adulting. Is that something that sons do, or do dads do that as well?
I guess in the words of the last episode, the title of the last episode, I guess it's what sons do when they become daddies.
Yes, yes. And isn't that how life moves on? And what do daddies become when they've finished being daddies? Well, let's not go there. But anyway, it won't be anything.
Ashes to ashes, dust to
Yes,
dust.
they graduate. Daddy heaven, yes.
So with that being said, it's the same thing. I want to ask you, like, how do you see yourself as what's the benefit of reinventing yourself at your age, and how do you see?
Because I feel I got more to do and I haven't figured out what it is. I have more to contribute. And so as long as you have that feeling, whether you're 40 or 50 or 80, try to find it. I have a friend who's 81 years old. He is retiring as a professor of sociology at a university in Ontario this month.
Oh, jeez.
He's planning to run for federal politics. Yes, I know. I see you squirm.
Oh, God.
Can you believe it? Now, we want to talk about that reinvention. I've cautioned him that, going back and forth to Ottawa is not exactly easy. And I've worked for an MP. I know what the life is like.
There is a reason.
But that man
majority
feels-
of people in politics in Canada are young people. Are on.
Fair enough, but maybe he's got a calling to do this. That's legitimate. If that's what he wants to do, go for it. God bless him that he's thinking of reinventing himself. I wish I could continue to do it. If somebody at 81 can do it, somebody at 61 or 71 can do it too.
You know what I think, and I think I've said this to you recently off air. I think people of that age, if you really care about your community, if you really care about this great nation, if you really care about Canada, and you want to do something to make a change,
I know what you're going to say.
mentor a young person. Mentor someone who you can mold to carry the vision that you hold. There are so many young people out here who are either already in positions of power, hold public office, or people who aspire to and would love the knowledge and expertise of a sociology professor to be on their team.
Well, to his defense, as a professor, he spent a career mentoring.
And he can still get paid. So exactly.
But I still say there's
So
nothing
now
wrong
he
with...
just wants to be in the spotlight.
No. He's got something to contribute. He feels that this is important for him to do.
There's other ways to contribute. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to judge somebody.
I'm
who
not
wants to do
judging
something.
either.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Sound like you are.
No. Here's what. I just
Judge.
I it's not even me judging. I have a very there's something about there's just something about old people
doing things that you'd like to do. And I'm sorry
let
but
me
they
not say
still want to do it and they
older
can.
people in public office that really grinds my gear.
Well, that's the problem in the United States right now, and the electorate is so unhappy with the choices they have for president. Both of those individuals are over 75, and trust me, they are not happy that they're dealing with an octogenarian and a near octogenarian. But that said, I think we should kind of bring this to a wrap, don't you?
Yes, we should. And as we're bringing that to a wrap, I just want to say, not a judgment to your friend.
Mm-hmm.
I just believe that there's still monetary opportunity. There's still way for older folks to gain without being at the front of the podium. I am a big proponent of continuity. And for me, that is a way in which they can ensure continuity. When you're in your 80s and you're going to run for federal office, you may pass in 10 years, 15 years, no more than that. That's not even enough time for a generation to roll over. That's 2 election cycles at best.
I take your point. The trouble is there's nothing coming up behind him.
And exactly.
There's nobody there to do the job that needs to be done.
And that is why it is imperative that we pump not only when I say resources, I'm not just talking about money, but I'm talking about time and investment of mentorship into our youth
Sign
to
me
get
up.
them
I would love to do
more
that.
to get them more engaged,
I would love
to
to do
get
that.
them more knowledgeable with not only the hard skills but the soft skills
Which are
to
the
be
re-
able to lead for leadership in this country, because that's what we're lacking. And then I'm done preaching.
Well, you know what?
Amen.
Helping people learn and grow, helping young people learn and grow is one of my life missions. You've kind of helped me here today. I think that's what I need to figure out. Where's good volunteer work to do that?
Helping
Thank you.
daddies be better daddies is my life mission. You're welcome.
Well, helping sons be better sons is mine.
Oh my gosh. Thank you everyone for listening to today's episode of Daddy and Son. If you were able to make it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Daddy and Son. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to ask our resident daddy any questions, we may read them aloud on this show. That is daddyandsonpodcast@gmail.com. So email us at daddyanson podcast@gmail.com. Until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
Daddies, be kind to your sons.
Bye-bye.